One of the things that we did was to set up a Slack channel, which currently 192 members are sharing ideas, job offers, and having various discussions on design-related topics. In one of the sub-channels every week, 88 people are randomly matched with each other and have a nice conversation during a coffee break to get inspired and grow their network. When it comes to social media, we have 850 followers on Facebook and almost 200 on LinkedIn. And now, a few slides about our values. We believe that by uniting the practicing and emerging designers, we together will make a larger impact on a digital service experience, value, and ethics in Riga and beyond. We create an open, safe space for experimenting and encouraging each other to create quality content and share experiences. We are digital product and service design community for designers on a mission to bring together designers who practice human-centered values. And now about what was planned during this year. So, 1 second. Yep. So what was planned during this year? Basically, to create a reason for designers to meet. 6 get-together events, 3 workshops, and 1 industry survey. We didn't manage to achieve all of the goals. However, we are very proud of the events that took place. We started this year with participatory design meetup, in which we learn more about remote workshops and ways to involve clients into design process. The second was about lessons learned from leading design teams in large corporations and at smaller agencies. And the third was about human-centered approach in healthcare, both in government institutions as well as startups. This was actually a good warm-up towards the 3-day healthcare hackathon, about which I will tell you more in a bit. The second thing that was planned was to create a safe and creative environment for initiatives. From 200 planned designers using internal channels, we currently have 192, from which around 10 are actively communicating. So feel free to join the Slack and spark discussion or other questions. It is a safe environment to get inspired and learn. And now a little bit about the 4th event that we had this year, a research hackathon for Latvian health system. Over 3 days, 55 participants, including designers, researchers, and other professionals, were faced with 11 challenges. In order to identify the problems and map out various customer journeys, more than 70 interviews were done with doctors, nurses, patients, and other people involved. And here you see a quote from Latvian health minister, in which he states that digital health hackathon is a brilliant best practice example, which definitely needs a continuation in healthcare and other areas. Thank you, participants, for what you managed to do in such a short time. We have made first steps towards modern and easy to use digital health platform. You can read more about this event in Medium post we wrote. So you can use the QR code or the link that will be shortly pasted in the chat. Here, it's pretty much a post on what was going on, what was achieved, and more in the details, the previously mentioned topic of this healthcare hackathon. So let's see, do we have the link to the Medium post? Okay. Let's move on then. So last but not least, we believe in what we do. So we are 6 active members of the core team, despite of the core team, who despite full-time work at various companies, teaching, running a startup, and other projects, are here to organize these and future events. And here are the faces and the names behind all of this: Jelena, Krišjānis, Madara, Zanne, Raitis, and Marina. And I would like to thank all of you for being a great team members. So, what are our plans for next year? Yep, why stop if you can do more? So, 6 get-together events, 2 workshops or hackathons, 1 industry survey, and 1 collaboration with educational institution. That's something that we want to achieve during 2022. We also want to grow our community as well. So feel free to join the Slack, spread the word, and don't hesitate to spark conversation, find a mentor, or just post a silly meme to brighten everyone's day. We also have planned to increase amount of people that participate in these meetups. So if you see a topic that might be an interest to your colleague, friend, or family member, invite them to the meetups. It is not only for designers. And if you have any things that you want to share with us, don't hesitate to contact. So, and lastly, we want to continue to write publications in Medium, organize a get-together event with other communities. And now, moving to our main event, our awesome speakers, Cesar Zappini, Design Operations Lead at Printify, and Alice, Senior Product Manager at Prezi. Yeah, first we will welcome Cesar, and he will talk about design operations, maturing design teams, and processes. So please, Cesar, whenever you're ready. I will stop sharing my screen.
And I will start mine. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Yes, all good. Very good. All right. I'll keep a few faces here. At some point, I have a question for you all. But okay, today we're going to talk a little bit about design ops. I'm sure some of you already heard of it, or even work in a company or a startup that has the operational part of design within your organization. But maybe some of you don't. And I'm here to clarify a little bit what it is and how actually that can be implemented if your company doesn't have operations for design yet, or even give a few maybe insights for the companies or teams that already have the operational side in design. So design ops, ops meaning operations, of course. In my opinion, this operational part of design, it is what is one of those missing pieces that design needs to mature as a craft. That being because we all know all those industries in a company that already have the operational side, business operations, which sometimes is only called operations in a company, DevOps, research ops, people ops, and now of course design ops. Just to talk a little bit about myself, my name is Cesar Zappini. I'm a design ops and design systems lead at Printify, one of the Latvian startups. I'm actually from Brazil, but 10 years ago I moved to Estonia, where I'm currently based. A bit about my past. So I started in 2000 as a graphic designer, web designer, front-end and back-end developer. Did sort of a decade there of experimenting with everything. And then when I moved to Estonia in 2011, worked for different companies, mostly focused in design. And then in 2014, started my startup journey with Printify, with Pipedrive, then PocoPay, and Pipedrive was actually my first encounter with the design system, and PocoPay, my first encounter as a leadership position, and then Verif, and now Printify, where is actually a combination of it all. which I believe is that combination is design ops. But well, I would like to start with a simple question. I will stop sharing just for a second, just to see the faces. But the question is, how many of you work in a company that has a dedicated person or team for design ops? You can do a show of hand if you are in a camera, which probably most of you aren't. All right, anyways, let's go back to it. Just a second. All right. So anyways, usually the numbers are not big, but the Nielsen Norman Group actually made a question or research with a similar question, and basically asking, what are the roles in your company that there are for design? What are they employing? And the design ops leads or managers, only 13% had either a team for that or a person that kind of was fulfilling those tasks. So what I see, to be honest, is a lot of potential and opportunities to do one thing, which is to redesign design, and that being done with design ops. And then, okay, you might be asking, what the fuck is design ops then? Again, bringing the Nielsen Norman Group, and I will bring them a few times in this presentation because they have researched a lot, and I mean a lot, with companies and individuals about what is design ops, and they created a sort of a framework that nowadays works quite well. So they say that design ops refers to the orchestration and optimization of people, processes, and craft in order to amplify design's value and impact at scale. And I think those two little points there, we're going to talk again soon, but they are quite important. So basically what design ops pays attention to is the designer's happiness, to make designers better as individuals and professionals, make better designs by creating new standards, spread design understanding, and spread design value. And I think for any of you that are designers, the three are a piece of cake, right? You know how to learn more, you know what are the goals you need in a company, or how to achieve better quality. But sometimes when you're talking about this connection between the company and the design, and spreading that understanding and the value, that can be quite tricky. And that is where I think design ops can bring a lot of value as well, to be the main voice, to be that institution within design, within the organization, to spread that this data and knowledge. All right, again, you might be asking, how do we do all that? Okay, we know now the description of what is design ops, but how can we implement? Well, design ops is a manual, and that is called, again, by the Nielsen Norman Group. And it is a framework, basically. It is a well-done structure that will help your design team within your company to actually have a step-by-step process on the things that you have to pay attention to. And it sounds quite simple, but when we put in front of you, and the first time that was put in front of me, it was simple. And you always think how you didn't think about it before, but I think that's the beauty of it as well. And before I go to the menu, I just wanted to say all models are wrong, but some are useful, meaning there is no perfect established way to implement design ops, specifically because each company has its own needs, and we'll need different frameworks, but I'm here to show you at least one or a few of them. Sorry, this is what I wanted to show before. That is the menu. Actually, let me go here first. I wanted to talk what are the major things that design ops have to pay attention to. And we talked about people, craft, and process, and basically this is what it is. So how do we work together? By organizing, collaborating, and humanizing, which is the people part. How do we get work done? Just the process part, standardizing, harmonizing, and prioritizing. And then the impact part, which is by measuring, socializing, and enabling. And now we're going to granulate those 9 bottom there even more. And that is the new normal group menu, let's say like that. It is a lot, but if you pay attention, they are quite self-explanatory. For example, in Harmonize, you have a design system, or in Measure, you have design standards, or even the definition of good and done. So all those things that in a design team you have to pay attention to, and that we shouldn't expect the design team to do it by their own, or specifically the product designers. So having a design ops to actually pay attention on it all is much simpler. And it does seems like a lot, because it is a lot. But the good news is that, as I said, it is a menu, and you don't order everything from a menu, do you? I mean, hopefully not, even though yesterday we almost did. Anyways, what you do is research. You start as a designer would anything. So you research and you find the burning issues of your team. You define what they are. You encounter through that menu, you encounter what could be those issues, and then you pick and choose. And now I can tell you a little bit how we've done at Printify. So we had that menu as well. When I started a few months ago, we brought this menu in, and we started researching and talking to the team and understanding what are the burning issues in there. And specifically with the head of design, Alex McLeod, we were always brainstorming and seeing what are the things we should start first. But first, I would like to show you how is more or less the structure of the design team, or at least how design ops sit in the design team within Printify. So Alex McLeod, as I said, is our head of design. Then we have design ops, which incorporate 3 different functions for now, and soon another one. One part is the operations for design itself. Then we have the design system and copywriting, and soon localization is also going to be part of it. The reason being is because we believe that everything that can be looked at holistically within a design team should sit under design ops. So many companies have different formats of design teams, of course. For us, we have designers embedded in squads or teams. But of course, they all answer to the head of design, but there is no overview holistically of what the design team does. So that's where design ops sits. And in there, we also have the product designers and the marketing designers. So we create not only operations and processes for the product designers, but also the marketing designers in a collaboration with the marketing team. But anyways, let's see the menu for us, how it was when we started. We understood that a few things we already did pretty well. I mean, Printify is a company that 100% of the designers currently are seniors. So they were already doing quite great, to be honest, which is a bit, underwhelming when you want to, join a company and just do everything. But, after I saw the amount of work that I would have anyways, it was kind of breath of fresh air that not everything was red or yellow. And then we saw a few things that we were doing well, but not perfect. And then we saw some things that were burning issues. And those are here represented in red. So for example, the humanizing part, we didn't have a clear vision of how designers would grow in a company, for example, or we didn't have a process for hiring or onboarding someone. So the company, of course, has, but that final touch on the design team, we didn't have. Same thing on harmonizing. There was a design system, but very broken, specifically because we were passing through recoding of the product. Asset management was scattered around, and the research hub was not a perfect connection yet with the design
Recording
team.
in progress.
And then measuring, which is something we are still working on. Actually, all those reds we are still working on, but this was a big screaming one. We didn't have those standards defined. What is good? How do we measure that is good? When we implement and when it's considered done. So we got those 3 major problems, and we started, just creating initiatives for them. So in humanizing, which is hiring and onboarding, career development, people operations, we created a few initiatives for them. So implement the full onboarding checklist, design a full career plan for designers, automate the process of meetings and documentations, and introduce self-assessment sessions. To action like these will make the career plan actionable, because if you have the career plan in there, then you have to make it actionable by the self-assessment and 360-degree feedback. Same thing, we harmonize design system, research hub, and asset management. The initiatives were we ran a full-on audit of our current design and code that was done, helped by a third-party company as well. Then we planned to recreate from scratch all our components, design and code, run a heuristic audit in our user experience, which we did, redo the brand book and its assets, and prepare the assets management, and restructure our Figma process as well. And finally, with the measure, design standards, design metrics, and definition of good and done. So the initiatives was to run a team-wide workshop for definition of quality, which we did. It was brilliant. Everybody was in Riga, and we actually ran a few exercises in which we understood what is good, what is done, and find our KPI North Star, which we are working on it right now, and with a very good lead on that, which was always a big subject for me, even in other companies. And finally, we are getting there. And initiate the design exclusive showcase session. Before at Printify, it was mixed with the whole product team, and now there is this session where it's only product designers, and much more freeing to talk about it before we actually talk with the rest of the product organization. So some examples of those actions that I talked about. This is the career plan. So the career plan we started understanding that designers not only want to become managers or even leads for that matter. So we created 3 swim lanes: the individual contributor, the hybrid lead and manager, and then levels for each one of them. And then they were compared to the skills that we believe, and this was all done with the workshop as well, with the whole team. The skills that we believe that the designer should have, it doesn't matter if they are individual contributor, hybrid lead, or a manager. And then through the self-assessment, we score those qualities or those skills. So what happens is that then you kind of solve the problem of career development, don't you? Like you have actually the full plan of what you're gonna do. Because if you see, if a designer sees and actually even build themselves, what are the skills that they are and what they want to have, they know exactly the step-by-step that they need to take in order to grow inside a company. And that can be done as an individual contributor as much as a manager, depending on the personal choice and of course the profile of the person. The other problem that we had, for example, in hiring and onboarding, of course, this is just a visual representation of what it is, as the other was. We created an onboarding checklist where we have everything that should happen to that newcomer even before they join the company. So it's very minute, it's very vast in terms of what we cover in there. So even before they join, we know everything that we need to send to them to inform them. On the week 1, what happens, even the day 1, actually, we have specified how that day 1 should look like, and then other weeks and so on, and until actually goes until 6 months of the person being there in the company. And I think that helps a lot. Every time that a newcomer joins, we go through the checklist and they start asking questions right after. What about this? Do I have access to a gym? How do I get my access cards? Can I use my, thumbprint and everything? So all that we are constantly improving this checklist as well to make the best experience possible. Because if you create a process for onboarding, not only they're going to be happy immediately with their experience within the company, but also they are productive faster. They are functional designers faster inside the company. And I mean, we are designers. Why not design the experience of a designer joining our own team and our own company? Of course, the design system, I think that the subject is beaten and dead. All companies are already doing this in some shape or form. Of course, we are we have a lot of experience in that, even from previous companies, everybody in the company. So we are creating something a bit more robust, or a bit with a bigger vision, and even with a plan of creating tools that we can later distribute to other companies in order to grow the design system field itself. And the design standards, also the Figma restructure. That was a job that one of our designers in the design ops team did, researching with the product designers and finding ways to improve all the path. Again, design thinking process. Researched what were the burning issues, understood the problem, create a few solutions, tested both with designers and developers, and implemented not perfect in any shape or form, but much better process than we had before, where everything was in one file. Even Figma having a great processing, it was almost impossible to open that file anymore. So another problem solved for us. In here, just that is a very simple solution for a simple problem. It's nothing big, but in design standards, even in our showcase, the whole process is automated. The bot will ask the designers what they want to show on the showcase. We will share that deck with slides, so everybody can actually see before what is going to be discussed in the showcase. They can give a quick look, understand what are the challenges of that designer, the solutions that they propose, and what they want feedback on. Because I think we are all familiar with the feedback sessions that people start nitpicking on things that have no matter, at least not in that moment. And in that way, we systematize much more how our showcase works. And today was living proof of that. We had 5 sessions in that showcase in 1 hour, people presenting and give extensive feedback with no need to cut in time. And it worked very smoothly, and we can now document. We can actually go back to what we've done in the past. And there are a ton more things, but a few things that I would like us to pay attention is that whatever you do with a purpose and with a pace that is scalable. That is quite important, because we tend as designers, I believe, at least me, to try to tackle everything at once, see that big menu, see how exciting it is, and try to fix a bunch of things at once. And I think that is not scalable. So one problem at a time, maybe 2 if you have a team like I do, and then you can start pacing yourself and bringing much more purposefully results to your team. And a few takeaways is that if I could, summarize this talk, is do the research, find the burning issues. I mean, that's basic design thinking process, right? Choose from the menu that is there, and tackle problems one by one. And of course, involve your team. That is my team with Alex right in the middle there. And of course, design ops is a function that doesn't exist without a team. You have to have a team to make everything operational. So for that, I thank them for my job, actually. And thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, just please shoot.
Thank you for this presentation. Truly great and inspiring one. And yeah, please, if anyone has questions, go ahead. Otherwise, I will start reading
there is a question
those from the chat.
Sure. Okay, you do that then. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the first one comes from Irina. Does researchers are under product design team? Yeah. So are there researchers under the product design team?
No, the research is a function of its own in Printify, like design is. They are supportive function, and they also have their own operations, research ops. So yeah, but those are 2 functions that are much collaborative, research and design, I mean, but they are different teams.
Okay, see. And then the second be, how do you measure performance of design team and then follow improvements of the team? Okay, so that
remember I was talking about the KPI or the North Star.
Yeah.
So the one where we answer the question, which is maybe I'm dumb, but I never was able to answer that question, is how the design team is doing. Of course, you can talk about the product, the feature, that we are working at. That's doing great. We have all the A/B tests that we need to prove that those features are doing great and that design has a value, which is, but how the design team is doing as a team, that we didn't have yet. And the two ways that we're going to measure them is one is actually even the self-assessment. Are the people in that team growing? Like, we're going to have the map of skills of this web map of the skills of the team from one time to another, and we're going to know if they're evolving as professionals. But as craft, we're going to use a heuristic UX audit, as we've done as a baseline for the benchmark. We're going to use that to understand if holistically user experience is evolving within Printify.
Sounds quite interesting.
And I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Elise's talk to learn more ways of how we can do that. Yeah.
Same here. But yeah, actually, there's quite a few other questions, and the next one comes from Yanis. The first one he's asking is how development is involved on bringing the design systems in the products at Printify. So yeah, how the developers work with these design systems.
Well, the design system part is a team on itself. So we do have me as leading, almost like a product manager, and we have an engineering manager as well. And then we have front-end developers and designers within that team. So the collaboration is basically as any squad or team would have within Printify. Let me see if I'll read the question. How development involved on bringing design system? Okay, yeah. So they are frontline basically. Not only the design system team, but engineering and platform teams. They are quite involved in our progress. So they are the ones that we have to actually answer to together with the designer, with the design team as well.
I see. I think the second one is a bit more technical. Do you use, and if yes, what kind of APIs, automations between Figma, Sketch, and design system code base?
Okay, dedicated DevOps assigned to design system. Okay, so we don't have anything automated in a manner. It's not because we don't believe that is not good. It's because we believe that there is no perfect tool yet out there. And that is something that we want to build. Those tools that start killing those manual activities that we have to do, which could be automated with the APIs of Figma, for example, that we use. So we want to build, and there are a few things, for example, that Airbnb, the design team of Airbnb does all the time. They're launching things, booking.com as well. But so far, we are not using anything automated in the matter. Of course, we have the documentation of, Storybook and knowing to know how those components actually work and everything. But automated from Figma, for example, to Storybook immediately, no. But if anybody knows a good way, please shoot, because that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I would be looking for the same thing as well, I think. But yeah, so the third one, what do you think could be a good result be achieved without dedicated development operations assigned to design systems exclusively?
It doesn't need to be exclusive. I mean, the DevOps team is collaborating with the design system team, of course. They create all the environments that we need and everything that is needed in order for us to achieve the results and that we need with the design system, create the components, do our releases and so on. But I do believe, if that's the question, I do believe that good results can be achieved without a dedicated DevOps person within the design system team.
I see. Okay, and then another one from Elena. How are responsibilities divided between design managers and design ops in your company?
So in Printify, it was a discussion that we had, me and the head of design. How are we going to separate those things? So basically, what we do now is that we consider whatever it is that is actually management, that is the head of design. and whatever it is that is a tool for the management or for the designers, that is design ops. So basically, we take care of everything that can be automated, everything that can be documented, creating processes and things of that sort, or creating the career plan. So are we going to do the self-assessment ourselves? No, we are going to create a framework for it. And then the head of design can use all those frameworks and tools that we are creating for their benefit, and the same for the design team. Whatever we're going to create, in terms of process or even automation of meetings that we have right now, then yeah, it's on us. But the management part is actually with the head. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, I think you did. So yeah, I think we have one more from Raitis. What could be the realistic expectations from a dedicated design operations person in 3, 6, and 12 months?
So it's a weird thing, but I hope at some point we become obsolete in terms of creating enough to, of course, that is utopia. So we're always going to have a job, but meaning that we create so many toolings and so many structures and frameworks that we can always step above and have time to think about things that now, we couldn't before, because before we were doing so much manual work. And so that is what we would like to do. Create processes and tooling that we start filling that ground floor, automating that ground floor, so we have time for bigger things to think about.
Interesting. So going for the next one, Arthurs is asking, what's next when a designer reaches the max tier level in either of the 3 mentioned categories?
So, it depends if you want the honest answer or the not one. I mean, I'm kidding. I would say the honest answer is leave the company, go learn somewhere else. But I'm kidding. I do believe that there's always space for growth. You can be in the top tier, but it doesn't limit, that those tiers cannot be created more. It's just right now we have a set of tiers that accommodate the possibilities of the designers we have now. Now, is there someone that can cross that? Definitely. So the job of the design ops team as well is to create processes that improve and facilitate and accommodate the design work, and not to make anybody slaves of that process. So whenever we see something that is not working anymore or is outdated, it's our job to understand that is outdated, either destroy it or improve it. So yeah, I don't think there's a max tier if that's the case, because whenever somebody reaches that, we need a couple more above, so they have something to reach for.
I think I would agree. You can never achieve perfection. It's always a way to improve something, and that's something to live by.
Exactly.
But yes, it seems like if anyone has any other questions, please go ahead, or feel free to write them later on also in the Slack channel, so we can then answer them afterwards. But yes, if there aren't any other questions, thank you very much, Cesar, for this great talk, and it was really truly inspiring and made me think about ways that I could improve things in my company as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everybody that asked the question. Yeah, and well, if you guys have any question in the future about design ops or design system, or however it is, either to implement or start in your company, or even materials to read to understand a bit more, just let me know. I'm already on the Slack, and we still have time here on the Zoom channel as well. So, but thank you for the time.
Thank you. Okay, so what a great talk. So next thing in line for us is a coffee break or a wine break. So feel free to take 5 minutes, stretch your legs, pour a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, and let's see each other back in 5 minutes, and yeah, then we will have our second speaker, and yeah, a lot of inspiring things to hear there as well. So be back in 5. And I will put a timer just in case. Welcome back, everyone. 5 minutes has passed, so hopefully you managed to get something to drink, stretch a bit, prepare for the second half of this meetup. So before we start, there's another, I think, quite short, warm-up session in which I would like to ask you to post song that inspires you and motivates you, and we will do it in Slack channel. But in case if you haven't entered it, feel free to also put your favorite song in Zoom chat. So I'll put both of these screens, and the idea is to, after event, to create a community playlist in which we will have all the songs that inspires and motivates us. So yeah, go ahead, enter Slack, post your favorite song. If there's issue with entering Slack, feel free to do it also in the Zoom chat. So I will bring up screens so you can see what others are writing. Lose Yourself by Eminem. Nice. That's quite, I haven't heard that song for quite some time, but good to return to the classics. Ballad for My Valentine. Nice. Ed Sheeran, I See Fire. Yeah, here you can also see the link to the Slack in case you want to go there. Imagine Dragons, Believer. Nice. Oh, and I see that in Slack, actually posting Spotify get a way to play it directly. Nice, nice, nice. So what we have there? Narrow Fort by Slipknot. Something to really get you energized. I suppose that helps. Makeba, Jane. Pick Up by DJ Kos. And sorry if I pronounce any of these artists or song titles incorrectly, but yeah, you will get the point. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Californication. Old Black Magic by Just Ritter. Ward Beach by Britney Spears. Why not? Whatever rocks your boat and helps you to stay productive longer. Oh, I see. And some conversations are getting on in the chat as well. So yeah, feel free to use chat as you want to have conversations as well. And yeah, say hi to each other if you find somebody you haven't met for a while. Afterclap, Capitio de Aria. Date Night by Father John Misty. Forever It Will Beat. Dub FX Flow featuring Mr. Woodnote. Many songs that I might have heard, but probably haven't remembered what they're called. So it would be interesting to go through these when creating the playlist. Mad Rush, Philip Glass, John Sebastian Beck, and Mark Steinbach. Okay, go. This too shall pass. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Okay, so second. Okay, thank you very much for this. So you will be, after this meeting, we'll be creating playlist and sharing it with you guys. So thank you again for sharing your favorite music that inspires and motivates you. So let's move on to our second speaker, Alisa Devika. She will talk about measuring product success at Prezi. Welcome, Alisa, and whenever you're ready.
Hello, user experience and design community. Long time no see. I think this is the first time I'm presenting in the new season. I know I've been here in this crowd years ago, but the first time today as representative of Prezi and as product manager. Previously, I was presenting as a UX or researcher. So yeah, it's been years what it means for me. So to hear and see my content, to hear me, you can listen as you're listening now, but to see my content, you have to pin the video in a gallery because I'll be using Prezi video product. I will not be sharing a screen. So to see what I'm sharing, you have to pin my video out of all the gallery videos you see. So while you do it, I will briefly introduce the topic, what I'm planning to talk about. And as with Cesar experience, we saw he was talking, questions followed. Please do the same with my speech while I'm talking, post your questions. And I know we will have time in the end to answer these questions. So I was invited to speak about metrics and measuring success. This will be presentation from product manager's perspective, how do we measure stuff? And I'm inviting you to switch your minds from processes and the speech of Cesar. Yes, Cesar, I must disappoint you when you spoke about measuring. I will not talk about processes. I will talk about product, because I believe what we do daily, regardless of your role in a company, designer or researcher or management position, we get up in the morning, we go to work to serve our customers and users and solve their problems with amazing products that we have. So I will be talking about how can we measure exactly that. And I will have a brief intro about frameworks. I was trying hard to narrow my speech as narrow as possible. So there'll be example from Prezi experience, how we measured part of experience. And then there will be few words about processes. So if you have any questions about all these three things, remember to post questions. And I will start with the few sentences about Prezi and what it is. Prezi is a startup based in Budapest, Riga, and San Francisco. It has over 100 million users worldwide. And we're building products that help users to communicate better. One of the products is what you see here. I can present and I don't have to hide behind the slides. I can present with my content. And why? There are several colleagues from Riga presenting on behalf of Prezi, the long history is that there was a startup called Infogram, and Infogram joined Prezi a few years ago, and now we're building products together. So I will later show what are these products that we're building. What else I wanted to share in the beginning? So yeah, product managers' view on how we measure design success. And later you will realize that success is not a creative metaphor that I'll be using. It is actually a bundle of events that we actually measure. So I will jump into first chapter, and it's called frameworks. So you have probably seen a lot of frameworks that are presented out there on how to measure user journey while user is discovering the value of your product. One known module or framework is called Pirate framework, and Pirate because abbreviation of all these funnel levels start with R, so it's like a pirate say. So you can imagine your user journey in a funnel, and you can measure this funnel. There's another model that I've seen. It's mostly used by design community and researchers, and it's developed by Google, and it's called the Heart framework. And this framework focuses on user adoption of the product, of user experience and UI. And there are several signals that can be captured from user in a qualitative research. And there are metrics that can be used quantitatively to measure and assess this user experience. So with abbreviation of all the steps in this model, it's called HEART framework. So happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, and task success. There are also hooked model based on a book of Nir Eel, which explains how do we capture user in our product, how user is discovering the value, what are the triggers, what is the action that user is performing, and then the reward that the customer is getting from the product, and then customer invests in this product more and continues to using it, so the customer is hooked. If you have ever heard keywords like aha or wow moment, this comes from this model, and this it comes from the same book, the theory that customer usually performs some kind of a setup. For instance, if you are using Bolt or Volt for ordering the food, you will sign up for the service, you will set up the location, and you'll do some actions to set up yourself for this experience. Then aha moment is the moment when you as a customer discover what is this product actually for, why is it wonderful. You will discover wonderful restaurants that are offering meal. You will order it, and when there will be the timing ticking when you will order the food, that might be aha moment. And a habit is when your experience was successful, you come back for this product and use it again. These all setup, aha, and habit moments can be different, of course, across all products and tools. We measure them differently, we define them differently. Maybe to summarize all these models, you notice there's some kind of a sequence of steps that customers and users usually perform to discover value of your product. And I couldn't agree more with Caesar when he showed it the quote that all models are wrong, but some are useful. Was that the right sentence? So these models can be right, but when we can get wrong is when we try to define what is the step in the case of our product. How do we describe this step in a funnel, for instance? Acquisition can be, is it when a customer presses sign up button, or is it when the login page is closed and finished? Activation, what is it? Is it the first ordered meal, or first time when customer starts actually doing something in the product? So what I'm trying to say is that while models are useful, there's still a lot to do to customize it for your own needs, for your own unique products that we have. And what I will try to do with the Prezi case is to give one example in the Prezi experience, how we as a team try to iterate and test out one step of a funnel and how we found our success metrics. So before I do that, before I explain how we measured, I should probably show what we measure and what is the product. So as I mentioned, Prezi is building several tools. It's a platform. So Prezi Present is a tool that you probably know historically. It's a presentation that uses zoom in, zoom out medium to convey the message better. Instead of linear slides, we can zoom in into story and explain it better, zoom out and give a context. So this is exactly how our minds work. Therefore, we believe this is the most engaging way how to tell the story. Instead of a linear way, you go and build context. The second product is Prezi Video, and this is a product that I'm using currently. We believe that the most engaging format in video, work from home, learn from home, pandemic context is you speak, you don't lose your face, you don't hide behind slides, but you try to keep engagement as much as possible with your personality. And the third product is Prezi Design, which is used to create visualizations, data visualization, different infographics and simple presentations. And historically, this is Infogram. So Infogram built in the Prezi platform is called Prezi Design, and this is one of 3 products that Prezi platform is offering. What is common is that Prezi is a software as a service, as many products out there. It is so-called authoring tool, which means users come to our products to create some kind of a digital content, and that it's not a system of records, for instance, database. Users actually get for this value to come to us and create something. Why it's important, because it changes how we approach the metrics, and it's a platform, meaning that 3 products, they kind of have the same goal to help to communicate better visually, but they are totally different as a product. And I want to show what is experience. If you imagine this funnel that I showed, what would be funnel steps for Prezi Design user? So on acquisition, this is a landing page. Customer would come and explore what is this product. There will be different landing pages for 3 different products. Then there would be some kind of a sign-up process where customer can fail and success. There would be a step where customer would choose which product to use. And we have Prezi Video, Design, and Present. And the third, then the following would be, let's imagine that a user chooses Prezi Design. Then project types would be a Dex choice. And on project types, we have slides, reports, graphics, maps, and many different other project types. And then finally, customer would land on editing experience, which is the value, the authoring experience that I was mentioning. So customer would build visualization with our product. And as a final step, it would be sharing or downloading or presenting your visuals. So if we imagine funnel, there is a lot of things to measure. And the question is, what out of all of this to capture as a success point, and what correlates well with the funnel steps that we have? Where customer is getting acquisition from, and what correlates with later steps in a funnel. So awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, and referral. So I will zoom in and explain better the activation definition experience that we had, and how we realized that it's correlating well with retention. And if we measure this step right, then we know that retention, referral, and revenue will follow. So this is my attempt to narrow down the topic that I was mentioning. So there were several attempts of how we used to measure activation and engagement, and there were several failing attempts in this process. So first, we had some event ideas that were capturing too narrow user base. Let's say time-based events that only 10% of users are doing. So 10 minutes spent in editor, for instance. Not all users performed this action, but we realized that they're coming next time and using our product again. So it means that this is a bad metric. The time-based metrics are also bad because it's really difficult to optimize this metric. So if we say users are spending not enough time in our product, is it because our product is difficult and they need a lot of time and we should artificially extend the time? We can hack it and make product more difficult. So time-based event proved to be really difficult to take action on. So we skipped that for many products. And as I mentioned, we're a platform, and there was no event that we could track that would work for all 3 products. So we realized we need to customize it. So I won't go deep into failing experience of how we were seeking for the right thing to measure. But one thing was for sure, we were looking for the new events that would correlate with retention, that would capture a large enough proportion of users, and that are actually explaining the value of the product. So if your customers are coming and creating something to present, to show in video, then this event should capture it. So what was the event eventually? I will show, but one process step is the research done by a data engineer, where for Prezi design specifically. So there were different events put and analyzed and put on a scale of weekly active use and how many users did it, how many users performed it. So all different events, like if you imagine Prezi design project, then how many projects were presented in full screen, how many view links were copied, and how many projects were downloaded. So the best performing were presented in full screen and copy view page. So viewing project in a view page in a browser, and downloading was less popular, but it was one of the main reasons why customers upgraded. So it was kept in here. So to summarize what were success metrics, this is this table. So on activation step, editor monthly active user was defined as a final event, and it meant at least one action in one of the editors. This is a metric that was easy to track, to get back in history and see how it changed, and it made sense for all editors. So on success step, the decision was to customize this experience, and for Prezi and for user researches, there was definition that wow moment and aha moment for customers is when they see how actually content is zooming out and zooming in, and what is this viewing experience. Therefore, at the moment when user presents project for at least 1 minute, this is the aha moment the customer is reaching. They see how you can interact with the content. For Prezi video, it's quite straightforward because you come to record video, and when you do the recording, when you set up the video, this is aha moment. And live present is another way how to finish your project. With Prezi design, there were different events because all projects are different. If you create infographic, you wanna present it. If you create presentation, you present it. If you create some kind of a chart, you download it. Therefore, group of events was kept as a success for Prezi design. So what it means that when I, as a project manager, look historically on editor active use or active users, I look on editor active use, and if I want to know which changes or A/B tests in a product led to more successful users, I have to go and check one of these events. So this is the briefly. And for examples, how it's used, as I mentioned, so we're tracking editor active use, blue is present, video and design, and combined usage of all three products. And if I want to see any changes, any activities customers do, I can set up quickly funnels where design success events are as a final baseline. Like, are we successful? For this table, for instance, is created projects segmented by project type, and I can compare that most successful, most finished project type is infographics, and next is slides. So when we as a team agreed on what success is, we can all use the same metric to explain what we do and are we moving the needle. So that was a brief story of how we came up with this. So it's not time-based. It explains engagement activation, and it's customized per product type, and it's really different. And few signals that fed this research were these aha moments where we know that our customers are discovering the best of our products. For design, it's interactive and aesthetics that users see when they share the project. For Prezi design is this interaction with the content. So it's different. We managed to describe it, we managed to quantify it, and we managed to agree that this is the success and this is what we should measure and should use in our reports. So that was story about what is our three products, how they're different, and how we still can quantify and measure them. And if you imagine all the models that I mentioned, you can pick any model and you can pick any sequence step in this model, and you imagine how much iteration and measuring and research you still have to do to come up with this one metric or agree with the team that this is it, this is what we're measuring. So I hope I made this more clear. I'm ready to jump to the process part. So if you still have questions about things I explained before, ask them. So about when we measure success and who is doing it, with this chapter, I want to show that this is a teamwork always, and there are different moments when we do high-level research, when we define success or OKRs, but also measuring happens or any feature development process. And it's actually a daily process you should be doing when you're checking your metrics and dashboards. So when and how OKRs is when we build a strategy, when we set up what we will measure in next quarter or yearly. And this is when, together with data engineers, usually these frameworks and data is usually set up and then definitions built. On feature development level, it's usually product teams that are building new initiatives, and they're defining what to measure and how to measure. And as a product manager, I check all the data sets daily. And as for process for feature development, won't go in this like really in specifics, but here I want to show that many teams and team members are involved when we define these metrics. So when the initiative is in the research phase, it's product manager and UX representative researcher. When initiative from design part is finished, we create this user flow and we describe what to measure in each flow. And it's again product manager, researcher, and UI designer who finishes the flow, and we describe it. Then all these initiatives and metrics are passed to tech leads and engineers who log these events and build schemas. Then there's a testing phase, analyzing a report, and we have learnings, and then we can act and implement all the learnings in next iterations of initiatives. So nothing surprising here as for process, but keep in mind that it's at least 5 to 6 people who should be passionate in a team when it comes to describing events, logging them, analyzing, and troubleshooting if you're doing the right thing. And briefly about tools. So I listed here a few tools that almost everyone are using. One that is recently being acquired by Atlassian. So there's a new tooling that we are searching for, but it was Chart.io product that was used for dashboards. Data team, usually we're building these dashboards, and we could monitor daily on what is happening. So it was good for overview, monthly active use, and historical data. Then indicative is the screenshot that I already showed. It is a product for engagement metrics, for behavioral analytics. It's a product where you can use build custom charts, funnels, and segmentation, and it's a self-service tool, meaning that you don't need a data engineer assistance to use it. And Prezi invested a lot to have this self-service tooling for every team member to get behavioral and engagement analytics at your hand, by the hand. And on reporting and presenting part, nothing surprising, of course, our own dog food tools that we are building. We are using them for presentation and communicating with the team. That's tooling, process, by when and whom. I'm thinking how to summarize everything I told in one sentence. And I guess the learning is building up on the models that they're useful, but there's still a lot of customization that needs to be done when you apply any method, any framework to your own company and product, because as unique our designs and products are, as unique or ways how we measure them should be. So yeah, and teamwork. That's always teamwork. That's it from my part. I'm ready to jump to the question section, and I would appreciate assistance here.
Yes. Thank you very much for this presentation. It was really great and interesting to see the Prezi overlay and all the interactivity without losing ability to see you. Yeah, getting to the questions. The first one comes from Rightus, and it's it's a bit longer one, but yeah, bear with me. There have been several discussions on effectiveness versus originality in design. For example, better be effective than original. So how to balance analytical thinking for proven solutions that provide effective experiences with creative thinking for inventing new and unique experiences? Yes, so I guess, like, to sum up, it's basically how to evaluate. One is like analytical, the data, another one is you want to still be, I don't know, original, still have that artist in you. So yeah, maybe you have some thoughts about that. What is?
Yeah, I don't see them honestly to like contradicting. I think it's those are different steps in design process. So one is the research that you do, and it can be analytical, it can be creative, it can be quantitative, and it can be qualitative. So there's a lot in the research process. Then when you're building, I think you should use your creative side, and once you define the problems that you're working on, go wild and solve them with your best creative approach. And again, when you implementing what you have designed, when you analyze it and validate your assumptions, then it's again process when it's more analytical. But they're not contradicting. You shouldn't lose one or another part of your personality or team superpower. It's just a wise timing for all of them.
I see. So yeah, moving to the second one, Caesar is asking, is there any reading material that you went through and you would find particularly relevant to share with us so we can read it too?
I could put up maybe the frameworks part. For all of these frameworks, there's a lot of reading material available. And then there are a bunch of communities and online resources that build up on these initial models, and they digest and chew and present them all over again. And explain them better. For Pirate Metric, that is David McClure who invented it. He's a representative of 500 startups, a founder, and there's a lot of reading materials on this part. Heart framework is done by Google, so there's a beautiful landing page, examples, and reading materials available. Hooked, I mentioned that it's based on a book. I recommend this book. And for this hooked model, actually, when I understood how it's working and how different definitions are in different products, I realized that when I attended Reforge courses, it's a product management, product strategy, and growth mindset kind of a community based in San Francisco who are doing closed courses on how to build the product strategy, how to measure it, and there are examples from industry leading companies. So they are building up their content on this hooked model, and they're talking a lot about this aha moment, how to measure it, how it's different. So the short answer is get acquainted with these models. They're reading materials for each of them, and there are many communities building up on the basic knowledge and digesting it again for us.
I see. Maybe a follow-up question from my side would be, do you have a preferred one? I mean, you mentioned that they're customizable and depending on what is the thing you're approaching with, maybe you have like the pirate one is that you start with and then you add things from the others, or it really depends on the product.
I know I won't be answering the question, but I can say that I rely a lot on team power and data engineers when it comes to the right things to measure, asking the right questions. Because you can read a lot of online materials and then you open up a dashboard with your own data and you realize that you're in a totally different world now. And there are historical data that you cannot interpret. There are different tweaks to each metric, each user behavior. User researcher brings one context, data engineer brings another, and it gets tricky there. So rely on the knowledge you have in a team when you do the final decision making. That would be my approach. So yeah, I rely on colleagues. I'm a product manager, not data engineer. I keep that in mind. I know what model is, I know who our users are, but it's not always trivial task to put it all together.
I see. Okay, then next question from Aline. How much time it takes for the new user to learn how to use Prezi?
It sounds like a comment or bitter experience rather than question. It's so we have 3 products now. Okay, Prezi's 3 products. Some are faster to adopt, some are slower to adopt. As for Prezi Video, we Monday was not yesterday. On Monday, we launched a new product, which is Prezi Video, and the time to value is as quick as it has ever been with the new product launch. So check that out. I don't have time-based metrics for each product, and how fast does it take to learn how to use Prezi. And in a manner of today's presentation, when a trivial question, I can go deep in how you define a new user, how do you find learning, how do you define use Prezi? Is it finishing a project? Is it doing a first action in editor? Is it spending 10 minutes in there? So yeah, this question is I can dig deep, but I don't have a data number in my pocket.
Okay, so a few questions from Rotislav. First being, so many of the things you and Cesar shared are amazing when thinking about teams. What is your perspective now as product person on how this is applicable to earlier stage teams or even solo designers? So like how these approaches are applicable potentially for smaller teams and I guess a solo designer, the smallest there is.
I'm
difference or
am I understanding the question right? This is the invitation to comment on Cesar's content and how I see it's applicable in bigger or smaller teams.
Yeah, towards smaller teams,
So,
and earlier stage teams, on even solo designers.
I think it was not really about my content, but like basically the things that me and you talked about as we work in bigger companies. I think he's saying, okay, that is cool for teams, but how can I apply your, what you just presented in a smaller team or even as an individual?
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. So I guess for a solo designer, there won't be luxury of a team that I just explained. The data engineer that you have Slack away, the historical data that you can always type a query and get a dashboard with metrics out of it. So that's more difficult, I would say. For solo designer, the mindset of using frameworks and iterating your way into finding the right for you, I think iteration would be the answer. So yeah, the curiosity on measure of success, patience on defining what is success for your product, and using no-code tooling, maybe. That would be recommendation. So it's more difficult, short answer. It's not plug and play, the same that I just told, and it's different. But I have not been a solo single contributor in 8 years of my career, so I've probably forgotten how it is.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have been working for a longer time for a big company, I guess. But yeah, then there's another question. So thinking about, kind of reflecting on what you just said, thinking about your experience in smaller companies in the past and your perspective on measuring success now, what would you tell yourself in the past to start doing earlier when it comes to measuring success? So something that you would wish you could tell yourself from the past, from what you have learned now.
I would say that there is no perfect tool, definitely. In the beginning, early beginnings, I remember it was really expensive decisions that we made on which product to use, how much does it cost, and then you cannot afford some tooling anymore, you lose your historical data, then you build something internally, which is never perfect, then you switch and do another expensive decision on switching to another tooling. So it's messy, there is no perfect tool, and it's okay. I would, maybe wouldn't seek perfect tooling and would invest on internal tools more if I was in early days of product building. But success, like, yeah, I think the amount of books that I read on this topic was not that big as in early days. And I think I was focusing on outputs more. Like, we have this feature, let's measure it, or let's not measure it at all. We have next great feature in mind. Let's just build. And now when the building is more expensive, the outcomes are more measured than in early days, how we did things. Yeah, probably I'm vague with this answer, but I hope it answers it a bit.
Yeah, I think it answers it. Yeah, we have another one from David. How much hooked model is important in product? So I guess, yeah, getting into that specific one. How much important it is in the product?
We'll bring the hooked model back. I think all models, they're about the same thing, that once we capture the user, once we show the value of our product, we expect that user will come back and will do it again. And so the hooked is about how to get users back. And if we see this pirate model, then referral is probably a step where you not only use the product, but you invite few more people to use the product. And other models maybe are not talking about this hooking so much. I think there are products that definitely should have this hooked experience, and it's a matter of a frequency when you expect user come back. And there are some products that are okay not to use them all the time. Then it's a matter of user base or market share that you capture. I imagine a traveling schedule app, let's say Skyscanner. You use it when you book a trip. You don't do it every day. You don't do it maybe every month. Maybe you do it only once per year. And in COVID situation, maybe you forget about the existence of this product. But once traveling is back, you use it again, and it's okay to use it frequently. But remember, your experience was good. So this frequent hooking is not crucial in some products, and in some products it is. It's again, it depends question that probably my presentation was based on. It depends.
I see. And yeah, the last one here. If a user spends more than a minute on using some product, is this always mean a success metric? So it's
I guess no.
Yes.
Maybe 1 minute reference was to the thing I showed about Prezi present. There was a success metric that you present your work for at least 1 minute. Maybe that was it. And the case here was that that was a metric when a customer already finished the project and the work in editor was done. And when you see this aha is when you present your project, and then how to know that you are not just using it for preview, but how to know that you are testing it and you know that project is finished. You're not accidentally pressing that button. So 1 minute was guess how to say that you are experiencing this presenting experience. So it's not for all products, it's not for all cases. 1 minute might seem a lot in some products. It's not. So as I mentioned, time-based events are tricky. If you are really tied to those, it's difficult to take action on those. It's easy to hack them. So now I have a feeling that I'm rambling on this 1 minute. I hope I answer the question. So for that case, it was just presenting step. And we know that before that user invested a lot of time on building project. But in general, 1 minute is not a metric that you should base all your thinking about success.
Yeah, I think
I want to highlight a few things from the chat. There's Irina, who used to be a researcher in the Prezi. And as for Alina's question, how much time does it take to learn Prezi? Irina knows for sure that it's 2 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
The Prezi original, the first product, that is a zooming presentation.
Interesting. So yeah, are there any other questions? Otherwise, I would like to thank you very much for this presentation. It was really great, and yeah, I think we learned a lot, and now many new frameworks to learn about and see how they could be applied. Yeah, thank you very much again.
Thank you for being great audience. It was my first time presenting about metrics at all. It's difficult to measure stuff. It's even more difficult to talk about it. So thank you for your patience and questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, so 2 great presentations and presenters, and I will now take over the screen again and move to the next slide. Yes, now it's a bit something from community from us, an invitation to create content together. And we have created this Medium page, UX UI Riga, in which you can feel free to write your articles, your things about the things you did during your projects, maybe some new methods, and yeah, contact us and use this page to spread the knowledge further. So yeah, you will also be able to find the link, I believe, in chat shortly. So yeah, something from us. Next one, and also join us in our social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Slack, or write us an email if you're interested in something more, or yeah, have any more suggestions. Continuing out, shout out. So now it's a place for open mic. So if anyone wants to say anything, promote anything, has something to say, feel free to open up your microphone and yeah, shout out if anything is on your mind. And of course, if it's talking in front of a lot of audience could be potentially stressful. So yeah, feel free to also do it later on in Slack or in other channels. So we'd also be happy to stay there. Okay, let's move forward. And yeah, last but not least, your feedback. And this is very important for us because we actually take in account, and it helps us to make this whole community better, understand what you want to see in the Slack, what you want to see in the next meetups. So yeah, if and then here you have the link, the QR code, so feel free to use them. There's only 5 quick questions. I mean, it would probably only take around 1 minute to answer. So we'll really appreciate your feedback. And yeah, it's anonymous, so don't worry about that, but it would help us to also figure it out what would be the next topic the meetup would be. So yeah, you can find the link also in the chat shortly. So yes, thank you for this meetup, for for participating, for asking questions, and of course, huge thank you for the speakers, and then yeah, all the participants in this. And yeah, I would say have a great night or the rest of the day, and yeah, see you in next meetups. And thank you very much all for participating and joining this. Nice to see so many designers and other specialists in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.